If reports are to be taken into consideration, it would seem that municipalities are battling to collect money from traffic fines. A Road Traffic Management Corporation report shows that motorists owe traffic agencies more than R3 billion in outstanding fines. But it seems the City of Cape Town is making inroads. JP Smith, MMC for Safety and Security, joins us live now from a very warm Cape Town. JP, good to speak to you as always. Can you elaborate on some of the strategies implemented in Cape Town that have led to the city's substantial success in revenue collection?
I can. I think probably for quite a while we've had a very effective program targeting scofflaws. It has long been my contention that you are wasting your time writing more and more fines if you are not holding people who earn those fines accountable. If a person is able to get a fine because they do something bad on the road and they're not compelled to pay that fine, the behavior that is learned is that you can drive with abandon and there are no consequences, and that contributes to those 18,000 deaths a road that we have on South African roads. So that is important for us to change. We have a very active operation Reclaim, which goes out looking for these scofflaws. I've gone out with them late at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, to go look for them at their homes, in the day, on the roads. We've increasingly used more and more automated number plate recognition fixed points in our cameras, traffic lights, on the average speed over distance cameras that we use, and at the roadblocks, and now also in the dash cams, which are ANPR enabled in our traffic vehicles. That started with the highway unit that's clocked up an extraordinary number of arrests in the last year, and it is now been expanded to all of our traffic resources very rapidly. The remainder will also have these. So all of them, as they rove about, are checking for number plates all over and making sure that we find those with outstanding warrants. And then, of course, we have the admin mark, which we pioneered as Cape Town, which we have fixed to your details. If you have outstanding warrants, we make it impossible for you to transact with the city to renew your driver's license or your vehicle registration until you've settled those warrants. And those are all on the sort of enforcement side. There are mechanisms on the encouragement and public education side as well.
Now, according to this report from the RTMC, Cape Town Metro Police Department issued 2.7 million fines in 2023. That's a huge number. What is the nature of some of these fines that have been issued?
They'll be for speed offences, traffic lights. We do camera enforcement for a variety of offences, such as crossing solid lines or channeling lines, driving on the shoulder of the road. So we use cameras for mobile enforcement, not just for speed. But they will be for more serious offences like reckless and negligent driving and drunk driving, although there a criminal record is open as well. And as you know, with the Cape Town bylaw, we are now increasingly impounding vehicles that drive in a reckless and negligent manner, or drive without a number plate, or drive under the influence of alcohol, or in the case of public transport vehicles under the National Land Transport Act, who drive without operating licenses. So we're very much trying to make sure that we reduce the slaughter on our roads. Our death toll in South African roads is completely unacceptable, and we've worked diligently to try and reduce those. And I think at times Cape Town has been, in some years, the only city to either show a small reduction or a stabilization in those figures, whilst the rest of South Africa is edged up relentlessly.
Now, you collected up to September of last year just shy, a little over 160 million rand, but we're not sure of the entire amount that is owed to the City of Cape Town. Do you have that number? That
figure will usually sit at around 700 or so million now, 600 to 700 million rands outstanding fines, and they are large numbers. It is incredibly difficult to track many scofflaws down. But we are steadily tightening the systems, and we have seen our recovery rates in the last, for our reclaim operations and for our scofflaws, we've seen those triple in the last 3-4 months, and that has got to do a lot with those automated number plate recognition cameras in all the vehicles. So come back to me a little bit later in this financial year, closer to June next year, and I promise you we will be able to show a substantially enhanced situation in terms of our ability to hold those who earn a fine accountable. And you don't do so for the money. You're mentioning financial figures. none of that money comes back to the traffic department. So whether we recover 100 million or 300 million or 450 million, as we're like to do in the year, none of that changes our financial or our wealth, our situation and our budget in the directorate. But what it does do is it changes behavior. Because that's the reason you issue a fine, and the reason you must make sure somebody pays that fine is that you change behavior and therefore get safer at driving.
Okay, so we'll come back to you in about June, as you suggest. But I think somebody who should be coming to you at the moment is the Tshwane Metro Police Department, because they've issued over 500,000 tickets to the tune of 209 million rand, but only collected 7.3 million rand. So what sets Cape Town apart? Do you also have conversations with other municipalities and other cities? Because I'm sure there's much that they can learn from your ability to collect.
So I think part of what sets us apart is I've talked about some of the enforcement stuff, and yes, we've been strict and we've done so for a long time. So this is not something we started to do in the last year or two. I have been the mayoral committee member since 2009, and an intense focus on scoff laws has always been part of my approach. Otherwise, why bother to issue the fines? Then rather don't bother at all. And so the emphasis has been on issuing less fines but making sure they get paid, and focusing on the most serious offenders where possible, not cash cowing. It is my impression that some of the municipalities do cash cow. They're targeting soft targets and easy places, and that doesn't change the behavior of those who most desperately need their driving behavior changed. And we also do a lot of stuff in terms of encouraging people. So we give media attention to those operations we do to make sure that the public understand the consequences. We encourage them. We take a bus with a payment point to different shopping malls so people can climb on board and settle their accounts right there. We have the annual road show where we take vehicles, or we take the public prosecutors and our staff to different points where we allow people to come and make representation to deal with their outstanding fines there and then. And so we make every effort to make it possible or easy for people to pay through online and third-party payment systems and everything else. So that's the flip side of the enforcement. We do speak to the other municipalities a lot and compare notes. And in those notes, I have noted that the repayment rate of some of these municipalities has slipped to as low as 1.8 or single-digit recovery rates for fines. Cape Town's initial recovery rates are around 19%, and over the lifetime of that fine, because remember there's several years during which you are trying to recover that fine and then trying to recover the warrant of arrest, that figure grows to about 35-36%, and we are constantly endeavouring to push that figure up.
JP, appreciate your time as always. City of Cape Town Safety and Security MMC JP Smith.